Apollo 13, The Tragedy. The seventh crewed mission in the Apollo space program and the third intended for a moon landing was Apollo 13, which took place from April 11 to 17, 1970. On April 11, 1970, the spacecraft was launched from the Kennedy Space Center, but 2 days into the mission, an oxygen tank in the service module, SM, malfunctioned, forcing the lunar landing to be cancelled. Instead, the crew made a loop around the moon and arrived back on Earth without incident on April 17. Jim Lovell served as the mission's commander, and the command module, CM, and lunar module, LM, pilots respectively were Jack Swigert and Fred Hayes. Ken Mattingly, who was suspended after contracting rubella, was replaced by Swigert at the last minute. The contents of both of the SM's oxygen tanks were expelled into space as a result of an explosion caused by the usual stirring of one oxygen tank that ignited defective wire insulation inside it. The SM's propulsion and life support systems could not function without oxygen, which is required for breathing and for producing electricity. The crew was forced to switch to the LM as a lifeboat since the CM's systems had to be turned off in order to save its remaining supplies for descent. Mission controllers focused their efforts on returning the crew to Earth once the lunar landing was abandoned. Mission Control in Houston devised additional procedures to enable the LM to support 3 men for 4 days even though it was only intended to support 2 men on the lunar surface for 2 days. Limited power, a cold, wet cabin, and a lack of drinkable water made life extremely difficult for the crew. The crew and mission controllers were successful in devising a way to convert the CM's cartridges so that the carbon dioxide scrubber system would operate in the LM. Tens of millions of people watched the Apollo program splash down in the South Pacific Ocean on television as a result of the astronauts' jeopardy. An investigation review board discovered issues with the oxygen tank's pre-flight testing and Teflon's insertion. For Apollo 14, the board suggested modifications such as reducing the use of potentially flammable materials inside the tank. Numerous dramatizations of the Apollo 13 narrative have been produced, most notably the 1995 film Apollo 13, based on Lovell's 1994 memoir Lost Moon, and a 1998 episode of the mini-series From the Earth to the Moon.